Can you leave the medical provider network? Can you leave the MPN, find another doctor outside the network? Is it possible? Yes, it is. Is it an easy thing to do? Absolutely not. It's a pain in the neck. Can it be done? It can be done, but there's a few steps to go through. So oftentimes the questions that I get from injured workers, I don't like the treating doctor that I have right now. It's the same doctor that the insurance company sent me to. I'd like to leave that MPN and go to my own personal doctor. Can I do that? So it depends. First of all, I will say a lot of the time, injured workers that I speak to want to go treat with their own personal physician because they have a long relationship with that doctor. That doctor knows any pre-existing conditions. They like that doctor. They trust that doctor. The problem is most general practitioners, most personal physicians don't do workers' comp. This is a strange animal. Workers' compensation is. They have to fill out requests for authorization. They have to do PR2s and PR4s. It's a pain in the neck. They get paid pursuant to the workers' comp schedules. So a lot of treating doctors, a lot of personal physicians simply say, hey, I ain't doing it. I'm not doing workers' comp. So I will keep you as a personal patient. I'll see you for your bumps and bruises, your ear infections, your chest pain, but I'm not going to see you for your workers' comp. So that's one thing. So backing up then, can you leave the MPN because you don't like your treating physician? It can be done. Here's generally the timeline or the course of action that I take with my clients and what I would generally recommend for injured workers who don't have attorneys. First, you need to go to the MPN and find out other doctors that are in the network that may be willing to take you as the primary treating physician. So you generally look through the occupational medicine clinics, occupational medicine providers, maybe neurologists, maybe pain management doctors, not generally orthopedic surgeons, at least not in the Central Valley of California. And you have to find other doctors. A lot of the time that's a pain in the neck. So what I do is I recommend that injured workers go to the medical access assistant. Every medical provider network has to have an access assistant available to help you find a treating doctor. It's what I do for my clients. I'll reach out to the medical access assistant and say, my client, an accepted knee injury, it's 1 year old, treating right now, wants a new primary treating physician. Tell me all of the doctors who are in the network who will take a transfer of care for an accepted knee injury and act as the primary treating physician. The reason I do that is because what's happening in the Central Valley area, a lot of treating doctors simply won't take a transfer of care. Injured workers are treating with a doctor, they're unhappy with that doctor. A lot of the other doctors that are in the network figure if you're already unhappy with your doctor, you're probably upset with this crazy workers' comp system, not necessarily with the doctor. And if you're crazy, you're upset with workers' comp, you're going to be upset with me, so why would I take you on as a new patient? So a lot of doctors, even though they're in the MPN, simply say, yeah, I'm not taking new patients right now. So what I do, I reach out to the access assistant, I ask for treating doctors that are willing to take my client as a patient. When they come back and they say, there are no other doctors in the network who will accept Mr. Jones or Ms. Smith as a patient in the network at this time. At that point, I turn to the adjuster and say, now my client wants to leave the medical provider network because you do not have a sufficient number of providers that are in the network and are ready, willing, and able to act as a primary treating physician. At that point, it's a pretty tough fight for the adjuster to say, I still demand that they treat in the network, even though there's no doctors that are willing to take the injured worker. Surprisingly, a lot of adjusters still dig in their heels. It can be an uphill fight. I will tell you, leaving the medical provider network is not an easy thing. I sometimes enter into agreements with adjusters. Let my client leave the medical provider network now. And if later you have additional providers in the network who are willing to accept my client, we'll revisit it at that time. Because generally, the insurance company does get medical provider network control. They do get to control the pool from which you can control or pick your doctor. But the problem is they need to have doctors that actually treat in the network. So is it possible? Yes, it is. It's not going to be an easy battle. It will be uphill, and you may end up needing to reach out to an attorney to get help with the case, because leaving the medical provider network, a lot of the times the adjusters just say, forget it. I'm not authorizing anyone outside the network. You have to treat in the network. But that's not truly the way that the case law works right now. So can it be done? It can be done. It's an uphill battle. You generally need to prove, or at least the best way that I found is that there's insufficient number of providers in the network right now who are willing to take an injured worker. And once that happens, that kind of takes away the arguments from the adjuster's perspective. Leading right out of the bat with, I don't like my doctor, and so I want to go outside the MPN, you're probably not going to have much luck, because the adjuster is going to say, we have tons of doctors in the network. They may not be willing to treat you, but we have tons of doctors in the network. So it's that extra step of reaching out to the MAA. You can generally find those access assistants on the website for the MPN, either an email or a phone number that you can reach out to them. I really like email because then I have documentation. I have proof of what I sent and when I sent it. But it can be done. If you have questions on this video, drop us a comment down below. And if you found the video helpful, hit the like button.